Hello and welcome to another episode of Plus C. In this episode, we hang out with another good friend of ours, Nomzamo Khumalo. Nomzamo is a senior production manager at Vaalbos Trust Boerdery. In this episode, we find out from her what does it mean to be a manager. We find out from her what are the roles and responsibilities of a manager. We found out from her what are the pressures that come with being a manager on a commercial farm. We also find out from her, in this day and age that we live in, is it really necessary for us to be able to communicate in Afrikaans in order for us to flourish and to thrive within the agricultural sector? With that said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Plus C.
So are you a manager?
Yeah.
It's a question you need to ask yourself. Are you a manager? You are not. Sometimes you honestly are not a manager. I did general labor. It was not for me. Physically, it was not for me. I did it because I couldn't manage without having to pass that certain stage. But it was not for me. It wasn't something I knew that. So what did I do? I always had to outdo everybody to ensure from now I boss all of you. Because me doing what you're doing is not, what you guys are doing now, it's not for me. And I'm self-aware. I'm aware that if physically I have to do something with you, it won't fit.
The funny thing is, me and you actually met go by this Asati thing.
Yes.
And to be frank, I genuinely liked you from the first day, like as a person or a moto. Mama. Yaba. I like you. And it was I remember the time when Rekopana for meeting, where was it, in Eastern Cape?
Yeah, 4 Cox, yeah.
4 Cox, and I broke my arm at that time. And you guys were another shaman, you guys were so kind. Dog, I was like sitting there, I was sitting on the table and I was just ordering, I would like some tea. And they took care of me, and I appreciate that a lot. But anyway, Nomzam, how's it?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good. Should we dive straight into it?
Whatever makes you feel comfortable. Whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Alright, so I wanted to talk to you about management. You know what I'm saying? Because I understand that you're a senior manager in the company that you work for. So I wanted us to talk about management, because a lot of people, you would assume that lenang kaba supervisor, lenang kaba manager, like Nomzamo sharp. That is easy, just to send people around. People assume that it's so easy because managers or good managers make it look easy. You know what I'm saying? But they don't necessarily understand, or they don't see the responsibility that the person is carrying. They don't see that the person is accountable for whatever has been done. Yeah. So we make it look easy, you know what I'm saying? With that said, Kima Nomzamo, you don't have to mention the company's name where you work.
Yeah.
But what position do you hold, and what does your job entail? Like, Oita?
Okay. Nomzamo, obviously. And I'm a production manager. So what I would say my job includes, I would say, okay, most people confuse what a manager is and what a leader is. And there's a quite distinct difference between the two. When you're a manager, you're not a leader. You don't even have to be a leader. When you're a manager, what I would say your ultimate role is responsibility. You are responsible and you take account for everything that happens. But you've got your leaders, your supervisors, that now work with people and the people follow them. So I would say leadership, people work with them, managers, people work for them.
Oh shit.
So if it makes sense, yes. So on what I would say my job is on a day-to-day basis It goes from anything to, I mean, like I said, I have to be responsible for a lot of things and I have to take account for a lot of things that are happening. So the planning of what happens, the HR, like selecting staff, training staff, developing staff. My favorite thing to do is
which is a beast of a job.
Which is a beast of a job.
Yeah.
It's a beast of a job. My favorite thing would be developing personal growth opportunities to the people that work for me. So at the end of the day, I wanted to be more about than just work. Personally, what can you learn from me? Personally, what can I learn from you? And together, how can we
grow.
do this and meet? Because as a manager, the first thing you need to understand is the objectives of the business. What are we trying to achieve? And as soon as you understand that and you teach it to the people, together now you guys start falling into the relationship.
And your job basically is to break it down in a simple manner so that even the ground force, the ground labor can understand what are the objectives and the
what do we want to achieve tomorrow. Obviously for me everything would have to be profit. I try to, profit is my thing, but for a general labor, creating work for tomorrow is their thing. So now how do we work together in reaching that objective, my objective as well as their objectives, and how to make the company greater? How do I make more money? How do you ensure you've got a job 10 years from now? And that's what management is.
And on top of that, efficiency. As efficient as possible.
As efficient as possible. So I would look for legal and healthy or safe ways for the employees to be on the farm, and we just work around that together. That's what I basically do on a daily basis.
Let's touch on that. Basically you being HR as well as the manager. I think, hence I said it's a beast of a job, because you have to understand the psychology of the people that you are managing, first and foremost, and that is not an easy. And you also have to discipline where it's necessary, and which is not easy. I mean, we are pretty young. We're still in our youth. You know what I'm saying? And you find that manager, is your staff. Older people, are they older than you? Some are younger, for sure. You know what I'm saying? You have to understand that as well. You can't treat everyone the same.
I would say it's the most difficult part of my job. Discipline is the most difficult part of my job. Like I say, sometimes I'd have to discipline people that are my parents' age. How do you go around that? And sometimes I always say our sector is one of the few sectors where experience counts more than papers, qualifications or whatever. So all these people are experienced. I'm coming in also as experienced, but then my level of experience is different from theirs. They know what to do physically. I know what to do on the business aspects of life. So I can plan for them. They know, Tonsi, we must wake up in the morning. I know what's the importance thereof. I know what's the deadline. I know why it needs to be done
and
on
the
this
standards.
And the standard it should be done. So that's what makes it. But I would say discipline is the hardest thing. Pertaining what I do, discipline is it's really difficult. It's not for everyone. And the whole thing of HR, we know unemployment in the country is quite a big problem. Who do you hire? Who do you not hire? What do you look at? It's not like a job where you call in interviews. These are people, these are not skilled people. These are people that are coming in and are standing in a queue and you have to select or you do the whole ID raffle. So it's quite a big challenge. Some of the employees on the farm would like you to add on their family members on the farm. But for a management purpose, I ignore that because it's not from the same place. You are difficult to manage. I want a person that doesn't know me. For lack of a better word, a person that fears me. Because if I now hire you, you are working for me for 5 years. I hire your brother. When you get home, you say to your brother, don't stress ka Nomzamo.
This is how you work around Nomzamo.
Those are the things that you need to consider. You need to consider, no, I need to avoid families on the farm. I need to avoid friends. You need people who know nothing about you so that you can teach them a standard for you. According to what you want and not what everybody, all the instigators and everybody else on the farm has. Because there's instigators, there's people who got an influence. Some people are not even supervisors, but banally a general influence as to all the people that are working around.
That is true. Mona, the company that I work for, I remember when I got there, so what happened was we had a manager. I get fit around the farm as an intern. student doing my work integrated learning. So I got there, I was doing my practical sharpo. So I think 3 months or 4 months down or into my internship, the current manager, and it was a woman, was a female. So she had to leave to go to another farm. And the new manager was coming in, right? So at that present time, there was no an assistant manager. You know what I'm saying? No, not really supervisor, but there was no assistant manager. And when they identified her, no, Moto aka fill at that spot. You know what I'm saying? So the new manager was like, no, I could take, because he was there for like 2 months before the actual manager left and was salaye. So they discussed and they picked me, and I was like, no, that is dope. The first thing that I had to do was discipline, because the farm was chaotic, and that was one of the hardest things that I ever had to do in my life. Like, to put my ego aside, to put my pride aside, to put my feelings, my emotions aside. Because as a manager, you can't be an emotional manager. Okay. You have to be professional and execute accordingly. Okay. That was the hardest things that I had to do. Firing people, employing people, conducting interviews, people that, like you said, my parents' age.
Yes.
Like,
to show just to substantiate on the difficulty of being a manager, I'm going to give you, people say we cannot be emotional managers.
yeah.
My type of management is an emotional one. Maybe it has to do with me being a female manager, but my type of management style is quite an emotional attachment to all my employees. But now here, the difficulties, I'm going to give you a scenario. Ne? If you've got an employee and you say you are now accusing him or her of theft, right? This is an employee who's the only person working wherever they come from, so they're the sole breadwinner. Yeah. Do you fire them or not? What would your response be? Just think on your feet. Would you fire them?
I guess there's a few factors that contribute to that.
Okay.
Like, is this person essential? Like, does this person really execute the job accordingly? Okay. You know what I'm saying? But if it was a person that was loafing in jail and wasn't really executing according to the standard, then I can consider her. We could afford to lose her. Okay. You know what I'm saying? But if it's a crucial, because at the end of the day, Linda, I have objectives that I have to meet. There's targets that I have to meet. So if Moto was not performing accordingly,
to standard,
regardless whether Kiana sole breadwinner, that is when the emotions come in. That is when I put my emotions aside and be like, Moto Ramotoka Kaparamoto, can we afford to lose this person or not? If we can afford to lose the person, I'll be like, no, let's let go of this person. I'll get a new person because I'm responsible for teaching, for HR.
And this is where most managers miss it. This is the answer you're giving me, right? Yeah. I say to you, a second person does the same offense. You're also considering, should we lose them or not, right? But unfortunately, you're working with people. In the sector, the people that we work with, I wouldn't say are quite the illiterate part of the sector. It's your normal, average me and you. How you treat a person needs to be the same for all of them. You cannot say now, this is a person we can lose or not lose. That's where you miss it as a manager. You set a standard. This is an offense. If you do this, if you commit this offense, you go. That is the standard of the farm. It doesn't matter if you've been with us for 20 years. It doesn't matter if you're the breadwinner. It doesn't matter if I can afford to use you or lose you or not. As a manager, you set a standard and you stick to it. You cannot. This might be a friend. Sometimes we make personal relationships around.
I avoid that.
Do you avoid that?
I avoid that.
I've got a few personal friends, but the story of it. But now, as a manager, you set that standard and you stick to it. You cannot. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if this person is your best driver, your best tractor driver. Everybody is replaceable, including myself. You need to make your employees understand that it's not a favor to me. I'm also at a job. I am also employed. And if I were to mess it up, I could also be leaving tomorrow. Okay. You understand?
So let me get back a bit. You guys, you're both students at a certain point.
At a certain point.
Few years back. We're old now. We big.
Yeah.
But as a student, I come to a farm, I'm an intern,
Okay.
a postgrad, whatever. I want to get employed, but I don't want to get employed as a general worker because I have the capacity to
run the farm.
To
run the farm maybe. So what are the things that for me as an individual, as a student, as a postgrad, when I get to the farm, I'm supposed to excel or do for me to get
to reach that level. And your question is very valid. It was one of the ones that were coming up. It's very just conclude a point here.
Okay.
Because I have something to say. Hore. Let's take my scenario for an example. You have general workers, and then you have people, crucial people. For an example, maintaining the manure belts. You know what I'm saying? And that is not a job for Mang Le Mang. And it's the type of job you can't teach whoever you're going to employ, a new person. You can't teach him in a week or in a month, because breakdowns don't occur in that particular month. You know what I'm saying? Type of situation. So it's a situation where, like, if I fire this person now, because I'm the assistant manager, I know how to do everything on the farm. But I cannot afford to fire Java, for an example, now, at the moment. Because there needs to be, I need to have, for an example, what I'm currently doing now, and that is what I've learned. Every job needs to have a replacement on the farm. So even if we're now law for today, there needs to be someone who can do that job. And on that particular job, so it was a situation where this guy, I caught him stealing. Do I fire him today? And if I fire him or her today, that means moplasi, that means I will have to do his job personally for like 2 months with, of course, a trainee that I'm training to do this job. Whilst I'm doing that, I'm not fulfilling all of my managerial duties. I'm not at the places where I need to be. I'm not catching up on my admin the way, because I have to do this now. And maybe there was a mistake that we did on the farm personally by not having an immediate replacement on that.
I would say, like you're saying, I feel like you are making this specific employee special. And that's a mistake you should never do. Never make somebody feel irreplaceable.
And they take advantage of that.
Never
they
make
notice.
somebody feel irreplaceable, because once you make somebody feel irreplaceable, they will play you, if for lack of a better word. So what I would suggest is always have more than one person doing it. I understand they could supervise the task, but always have somebody who's there looking at what they are doing every day. Tomorrow when there's a problem, it doesn't even have to be a dismissal. The person can fall ill tomorrow. It doesn't even have to be a dismissal. You always need to have backup. That doesn't affect your job as a manager. So never make employees feel special. Yes, we appreciate you, and yes, the job cannot be done without you. But I can get another person tomorrow, if you were to do something, I can get another person tomorrow. And just to answer what you're saying, what I'm going to say is quite unpopular. It's an unpopular opinion. I give to my personal friends when they're in that predicament. But my advice to a student who's now an intern trying to get into management, or kiss ass. It's an unpopular opinion, but kiss ass. Work twice as hard as everybody, tell on everybody, and basically kiss management's ass. There is no other way. What we as students tend to do, I was a student in an internship position, I know. There's 4 of us, right? You are having a personal situation, a problem with management. I mean, we are students coming from varsity or whatever. It is in our nature to now feel compassionate and act in a dramatic manner regarding your situation. Now we are all upset at the management because of your personal.
But it
has nothing to do with us. And it's a transition students need to, once you get into a place of work, really to as students, but here we are colleagues, we are not friends. You are not my fellow students. So kiss ass. If you want to, I will tell you, when I take in students, I look at them. I need that student that's going to be able to say, no, but when you were not there, they were sitting. I need that student. But you must also look the type of person that is telling you. When they were sitting, what were you doing? Were you now the one that said, guys, she's really going to be upset if she comes back and we are sitting? But it's an unpopular opinion, unfortunately, but I always tell it to students.
But it works.
Do you feel like, is there a need for us to go back to the colleges and prep the students? Or guys, this is a workplace, regardless of it's a farm or not. This is what's going on. Do you feel like is there a gap between from you being a student and now
being an
all
employee
inside a farm?
Absolutely.
So do you think, or is there we need to fill that gap? And I agree we need to. I'm speaking in terms of all of us.
All of us,
like,
absolutely.
Do you feel like, or we need to do that?
Absolutely, because it's something I've also personally experienced. You're coming in now, in college or varsity or whatever, you make friends with everybody around. In a work environment, I don't need even to know who you're dating. I don't even need to know your last name. It's and that is unfortunately what school doesn't teach you. They don't teach you that. It's things, sometimes they say character. Things you learn, things you pick up. So yes, we do need to build our students, but at the same time, I think it cannot be taught. It's something you have to go and learn
and
yourself.
experience it.
It cannot be taught.
Here's my point from just to conclude. I disagree with you guys when you guys saying something that will never be taught. You need to feel it. I feel like before I was a student, if someone came to me and really explained to me about you go into a workplace, you're still a student, yes, but this is a workplace.
True.
You have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would be aware of certain things instead of me being aware of them after 3 months.
After 3 months.
Immediately when you do that, I would know, reaqua. And so for me, I feel like there's a huge gap we need to fill. And so, not everyone has to struggle the way you struggle.
Okay.
Not everyone.
Here's the thing, right? For me, is on that subject matter. Hore, the world is not a fair place, dude. There's some things that you need to take personal accountability. If you know that you go into that workspace, to that company, and Obatoba supervise, take it upon yourself to go on YouTube. Dog, we have the internet where you can learn tons of stuff. So I'm not disputing what you are saying. I'm just saying that there's some things, one, that you need to go through yourself. Someone can teach you certain things, but you have to go through it yourself for them to really be in your blood, like for you to really be that person. You have to go through it. And then there's some things that you have to teach yourself. Oscar expect a mentor in every situation, because there's not a mentor in every situation. Like myself, in the workplace that I am, no one taught me how to be a manager. Even my manager didn't teach me how to be a manager. I saw what he does, and I knew because I've had few jobs before. I knew, and there's the internet, I read, I learn what is management, how to manage. So I knew already, now I want to be this guy. For me to be this guy, I need to act in a certain manner. And all of this stuff is available on the internet, but it could be of great use for us.
But
to
like
go back
now
and
when
teach
you
the
are
students.
saying not everybody's supposed to struggle the way we struggle. I always laugh at this, but because it's something I was reading about the other day. Do you not feel like now, us the youth, the new graduates and everything, we feel there's a certain entitlement that we have. Now we feel we need to be taught the workplace. The only place where the workplace can be taught is at the workplace. I can prepare you for the workplace. It's a different scenario. I can prepare you for the workplace, but I cannot teach you, because another thing we need to look at, I can prep you for certain scenarios you're going to experience at the workplace, but I cannot teach you your future boss's mind. And everything I teach you can now be out of place.
Scenarios are different.
All I'm saying is, there are few of you guys. You know what I mean? There are very few. There are some people, they are emotionally unstable.
Okay.
You know what I mean? At a workplace, it's much different than school.
That is 100%.
Then when you get there, there are some people that are not emotionally intelligent.
Stable.
Like, you know what I mean? So I feel like it's upon us. I give you this. It's up to you what you do with
What
it.
you do.
You know what I mean? I feel like, and there is what other cultures, what other races are doing. They
groove.
prep, they groove. You know what I mean? From there it's you, dog. I can't
You do it
carry
yourself.
you all the
Yeah,
way.
that's the
All of
point.
this.
I agree with you.
That's
I
the
agree
point.
with Hore. A sense of entitlement. We tend to wait for someone to come through and do it for us instead of showing initiative. Like I tell the students that I have, and I want you to ask your opinion about students. Why you don't take students, or why you do or not.
Okay.
But I tell the students, Sako Nada, the students that I mentor, or guys, I will only teach you what you want to be taught. Like I was that guy before,
But,
that I would go 100% and teach you, and then you teaching these kids, and I was there myself. You're teaching these kids about production, but the body language, yeah, Bonsauri, this person is not interested.
It's something I was
on
about to
Frostan.
say now, according, just responding to what he said when he said some of the students mentally are not capable. But it's a whole thing now of self-awareness. Yes, you want to be a manager, but are you a manager? Are you a manager?
Do you
That's
possess
why
the
I am
qualities?
saying when you've got a group of students, the one that has the quality, it will naturally. It will. So you want something, but is it who you are? Is it, maybe it's what I always tell people. I made this joke, remember it trended, and I was like, people always expect all agricultural graduates to have land, but medical graduates do not have hospitals. Education graduates do not own schools. There's so many things in the sector you can do. It doesn't end in being a manager at any big farm.
Or a farmer.
So are you a manager?
Yeah.
It's a question you need to ask yourself. Are you a manager? You are not. Sometimes you honestly are not a manager. I did general labor. It was not for me. Physically, it was not for me. I did it because I couldn't manage without having to pass that certain stage. But it was not for me. It wasn't something I knew that. So what did I do? I always had to outdo everybody to ensure a year from now I boss all of you. Because me doing what you're doing is not, what you guys are doing now, it's not for me. And I'm self-aware. I'm aware that if physically I have to do something with you, I'm not a physically capable person. So what I do, I find other ways to now penetrate and make sure I'm in charge of you. You need to be self-aware. You need to know what you can do and what you cannot do. What you like, what you're good at, what are you bad at. And tomorrow is what you are trying to be possible or not. And you must just work around it.
And just to, you need to be aware, Hore. If you want to be a manager, what does that job entail? And then you look at yourself, you look at the position, you look at yourself, and you be like, and be frank. The other thing that I wanted to touch upon, right, and it's something that is very basic but very complex at the same time. Like, for example, for you to be a manager, one of the key things is to be as frank as possible. Like, for example, just now 2 minutes off air, you mentioned something, Yauri. If you have, like, for example, a supervisor who's incompetent, and you are a student or a general worker, you make them look a certain type of way, or not make them look, you expose them.
You expose them.
Because make them look is almost like you adding spicy. You try. So sharp, you expose the person. And to be frank, you as a student, and that's why I said I agree with you, we need to prep the students in a certain way. Because those are very challenging things. Something that is very easy but very challenging.
Quite challenging.
To jump Nomzamo, that is my supervisor, and report my supervisor to my manager or no. Nomzamo is not alright. Can't manage. And that is, it sounds easy, but it's not as easy as we make it sound to report your superior and a motos panalien on a daily basis. So one more report or treat you a certain type
My
of
advice would be, I wouldn't call it per se to report a person. If I say make a person look incompetent, look, you need to understand whatever company you have, there's different hierarchies on how things work.
Yeah.
for example, where I am, to speak to the owner of the farm is not a problem. You can speak to him.
Yeah.
But some companies have a strict policies against it.
Yeah.
Everything is a higher.
Yeah.
So first you need to understand the company you're working for and how they work.
100.
But if I were to give you advice by making a person look incompetent, now say you are doing all the work, like you as an assistant manager, you are doing all the work that a manager is supposed to be doing. There's a person above the manager, right? Report to them. Don't you needn't even mention the manager's name. Just look, show it that I am doing this and that.
And there are hints that you can give.
Let them question that person's position. We had a scenario where the owners were even, okay, but we are paying this person this amount of money. That money can be feel Nomzamo.
Because Nomzamo will execute that.
And this person, for example, if I'm going to just use a corporate example, a person has a PhD, a person has a diploma, right? Salary is one. But now this person with diploma is doing more than. Now the company evaluates Refamuto 30,000 a month. We could save money by taking half of that 15
or Rasamufi 15, maybe 10 extra.
We are still saving on the money we are saving from the position. So do not snitch, because the company now will try to consider the type of person you are. Like, okay, we're not motomo young. Just professionally make them look incompetent. Sometimes you don't even have to make them aware of what's happening. Or if like a dula fati in a boardroom setting, when they have to answer to your responsibilities, they realize there's nothing they're doing. Wamu correct, wamu ten. How do 1, 2, 3 wamuka to know it's actually this way? This is actually what you can also do is deliberately give somebody false information. It's sabotage, but it works. Deliberately give somebody false information. Almost save you. But the problem with most companies, everything is in writing. So you cannot change a statement that you put on in writing. That's why I would say to you, understand company you can make a person look incompetent without having to mention their name. Just by working extra hard, you can make a person look incompetent.
But that is when it goes back to understand yourself, understand what you want to do, understand that position, and then also
weigh out the risks. What are the risks your manager? What could possibly happen? How will your boss take it? That specific person, and you are now coming to me with a problem. And if I ask as your boss, okay, why didn't you tell? Because I've mentioned it to him before and it didn't work. Hence I felt now I must just personally come to you. That's making a person look incompetent. You are throwing their whole credibility away.
For you to become that person who has sorry to use this word, but the balls to do that. Like you're saying, you make it sound so easy. But we're now I'm not saying something is impossible and something is doable. Just for whoever's watching this to understand that I'm Matle, get the idea.
It's not easy.
Because you want to save personal relationships, you want to spare this guy's emotions.
But that's the mistake you do. Why is a personal relationship more important? A personal relationship in the workplace is not really, think of it this way. If tomorrow it was you, what would the person have?
You would do the very same thing.
Every time you want to weigh options, that is another thing you can look of. Okay, I want to grow, and the reason why I'm not growing is this person is blocking my growth. I don't want to eliminate them, but I just want to prove that I'm as good, if not better. How do? You take over and you make them look incompetent. It's not personal, it's work. People say that a lot. Once you personalize relationships, it is where it will be very difficult for you to make these decisions, because when for you are emotional, worry actor. Your marakamo eat last week gets a bring le mosadia high. So what? So it's not. Thank you for inviting me to your bride. It's the one character a lot of managers don't have. Separate the emotions from the objectives of the company.
All right, Nomzamo, let's jump to something else. Ke batla mo tabeng e ya ma student. Hore. And you mentioned, you asked a question, Yaure. Or let's do this before Yama student thing. Give us a bit of your journey. Where did you start? Because a lot of people, I assume that you get this as well, Yaure. People look at your life or the things that you post and they assume that it came easy. Like Nomzamo bile lucky, she's a woman, she's black, that's why, or it's about Afrikaans. I assume that happens to you because I get that. Not a lot, but I get that. You know what I'm saying? So just give people some context to it. Luena, you started at ground floors.
As soon as I left TAC, I had to do my practicals and study work integrated learning. And I went to Dela Revo plus boerdery. And I was working with, that's why I learned how to produce cabbages, the whole production guideline, cabbage, as well as sunflower and potatoes, the three of them. But now what people don't understand is that I was living there. It's a town I've never been to. I mean, Dela Revo, you guys know it. It's quite a remote area. I don't know anybody there. I had to now go look for a place to rent. I was not getting paid. My parents are giving me 1,500 every month. So I'm cover rent. So make sure So yes, all I had to do was call a farmer on the phone. Afrikaans I got in. That was simple. That's all I had to do. I come in because of the language specifically. But now, my work is not to speak Afrikaans.
Your work is
to
execute.
It's to execute. I'm coming now it's my first experience in the workforce, right? It's my very first experience in the workforce. I come in, physically, I'm a big girl. In the sun for 9 hours. I have to bend. Nobody cares. They don't care. Like,
we have to get this done.
I'm from Pretoria. I'm from the okay. I'm not from the burbs, but I'm from. I am now living with people. Baba, bohobeli cabbage is a norm. What must I do? Your whole thinking, work, backwards. Okay, I cannot be the Nomzamo I am. I am not saying be pretentious, but I couldn't
adjust accordingly.
I had to quickly adjust. For me, and I always say this to people, it's always for me to get what I want. It's always for me to get
There's
what
always
I want.
an objective.
It's always, I understand where I am going. So I had to work. For that 7 months, I worked. I was losing weight. It was terrible. I wasn't getting paid for the entire, or even speaking Afrikaans couldn't get me paid. I was not getting paid, and everything. I had farm burglaries. It was things I had to deal with on my own. It was the first thing I started, and then I got an internship here at Agrisita in Kisa to Limpopo. So from the northwest, I went straight to Limpopo, and that is where I started learning table grapes. And when I got there, I remember the first day. Basically everything. The first day was umuzulu. You understand? Mokai, kima paid. Now you are coming in when I'm a Khumalo. Those are the things I was getting. I know it seems petty, but I just want you to understand there are so many things that can make you give up. So your character and you being self-aware is the only thing that will get you through.
Keep you on the right path.
I come in, I sign my contract with the other interns that were there. There were 5 of us, if I remember. I can't think it through now. There's 5 of us. Everybody in the management area that is sitting with me says to me, "Otongala." You know why they are saying that?
What?
Physical appearance.
They think that you won't keep up with the work.
They told me straight that when I say Becky, more as a vacation. More as a vacation. You understand? I start putting that in my head. And I worked. It was difficult. I remember there was a time where 4 months into the job, I was going home just to visit my parents over the weekend. And I said to my dad, I'm not going back to work. Papa Mbutisor, what's the problem? Yo, I feel like I can't do it. Like physically, it's taking a toll on me. The Monday morning, I enter the CEO's office and I tell him, I'm quitting. Nah? He says to me.
At that time, did the CEO know you personally?
Just as students.
Oh.
Just as students. I mean, yes, sometimes he would ask personal favors from the managers. Like, try to understand your strong points. He says to me, I would let any other student quit except you. And I ask him why. He's like, because I see potential in you. Everybody said you would quit, but you are still here. We were those 5 employees. Ne? I left before all of them. I left on my 11th month because I got a job opportunity before all of them. Ne? But it was so difficult. People don't understand. And at that internship, 3,350. I remember my first cake I spent. It was so nice. It was so nice. 3,350. I had rent 1.5 to pay.
Transport.
I had transport. But Makhwana deduct to take us to the farm. It was nearly 450 if I remember correctly. But for 9 hours, I put aside that I'm qualified. Every single day for 9 hours, I was a general labor. That is why my style of management is quite emotional towards the employees because
You actually been there.
I know what it feels like to be under the sun at 36 degrees. I know. So there's a lot of things people don't see when they see me. They think, okay, she's now this farmer, always talking, but they don't understand. From that is where I started.
There is a foundation. You went through all the necessary steps.
It's another student thing. Students need to channel their minds in. Sector arena, Asia, the qualification, get experience. Get experience. It's. I always tell my friends, yes, go for your masters. Go for them. But when you have to come in and teach people planting,
you need experience.
But experience,
there's nothing your papers can do for you. Don't get me wrong, depending on what you want to do in the sector. I mean, if you're an agri-economist, you understand. But depending on what you want to do and achieve in the sector, it's quite a complex thing. But yeah, that is basically how I started.
But that is the one thing that you mentioned in our previous. Thank you very much. That was the one thing that you mentioned in our previous podcast, Yauri. If you want to be a farmer, you're a youngin and you want to be a farmer, go to the college. If you want to be an actual farmer, college. But if you want to be a vet, you want to be a scientist, you want to be whatever other things, it's probably best you go to university.
I will challenge the colleges. I will challenge the colleges. Be very specific about what college you go to.
Okay, here's the thing. But in terms of, it's not about which college.
Yes.
There is a different ball game.
Yes.
A different conversation.
On its own. The whole point is, if you want to be an actual farmer, go to the college. If you want to be a scientist, the ones that they come to the farmers check.
Extension officer.
Go to the universities, and it's best for you to go there because it's more of theory. College, in order for you to pass, remember you need to pass your practical. You need to show what you are doing,
and you can do it.
And the main point of all
the 11 agricultural colleges,
like the whole point is to produce farmers. Hence, you have to go to university if you want to be an extension officer. You need to do something extra. But if you want to be a farmer, you don't have to do anything extra because that is what they are teaching you to be.
I've got a different opinion of it. My opinion is, if you want to be a farmer, farm. Listen, I fully agree with what you're saying. My opinion of things, if you want to be a farmer, farm. Because my experience, what the colleges teach you is not, they are more practical than the universities. But I always say the success of any institution lies within its graduates. Looking at our colleges, Ready farm manager, are they actual farmers? Be honest with yourself. Are they like this person? Yes, if you're a farm manager, you are a farmer. It's true. But own enterprise. Started from the bottom and now I'm here type of farmers. Basically from our institution,
outliers, there are few.
you can count. It's this one and
But
that one.
here's the thing.
And
Now
that
you're
one.
taking it back to what I told you. The problem with people who are going to agricultural colleges,
Yes.
they're going there because it's the last option. If they only took
So
you
our colleges
for
are not attracting.
No, they're
the
not.
right.
They're not. Look, my third year, only 2 or 3% got employed. You know why? Because everyone thought to go to government.
True.
So here's the thing. The problem is at the beginning. We take the agricultural
intake is
college as the last option.
It's true.
90% of the people like, Doc, why are you here? It was my last option.
So the
Makes
point
a
now
qualify.
becomes is it something you want to do?
Yeah.
Is we are there's a very few, myself included, there's a very few people like myself who feel it was a first option, it was a first love.
That is why you excelling.
It was the first option, it was the first love. It wasn't either or. Yes, I was probably not in an institution where I would have liked to be in, but that basic strategic training
And
was
here's the
sufficient
thing
for
for me.
me.
There's a reason why colleges like Poch, they only take like 90 students. The ratio of the practical, it has to be in line with the student.
Yes.
It's time
University
consuming.
they can take 3.5. Poch can only take
Because
90.
kika lecture hall
The
different.
lecture hall that they teach you guys. What, and the lecture's gone. Yeah.
The other thing, how then? Or why or you feel some type of way when it comes to you taking in students?
I feel some type of way.
Do we still have time?
Let me say this about the students. I get a lot of, let me say inboxes every day. A lot of them. And I get them about, do you have placement? So now my problem is this, Gaddafi. This is why I was speaking about entitlement in some level. Hi, Nomzamo, are you taking people? I've got a qualification, please take me, girl. Am I your friend? I'm not your friend.
That is automatically the means of communication was not done in a professional manner.
In a professional manner. And this is my biggest problem with students. I am not your friend. I'm your friend. I am your friend. I am like you. But I am, if it makes sense, your approach. Approach is very important. Don't inbox me and say, hey girl. I know.
And then go bata spa.
So go onyata. Go
That means
Nomzamo, we know her. I am not
already cancelled.
Now you bring in students in a work environment, because I've trained students before. Entitlement, it's also coming back in. It's sad that I'm saying this because I was once a student. Maraki Bilibahood, I was a different type of student, and that's why I'm here today.
Yeah.
We are qualified.
When?
4 years, honors level.
They feel like they too good for certain duties and tasks.
And you must now remember, if you are if you're an intern or grad, or it's a different story. When you are coming in for your work integrated learning, I am not obliged to pay you. I am rendering you a service you want to get trained.
That you need.
To further advance your career or whatever. You need me. I mean, yes, I need you for the free labor or whatever it is you will be offering me. But you are benefiting from me more than I am from you. My issue with students is professionalism. They lack professionalism. It is, and that's why I'm saying, is it something that can be taught? It's debatable. It's debatable, but
it can, but
I had students, ne? Okay, sometimes I understand you guys are not supposed to be involved in the physical labor of the farm. So like a task like quality assurance. But you need to understand if I give you a quality task, right? I export my products. So whatever report you write is at an international level. You cannot, at whatever level, you cannot make mistakes. I cannot walk out and that is my problem with students. it's they're left. Get to go saying, hey girl, we are friends. Wa hopola re le mo taung bo botle. Wa hopola we itse mang ya ke meet. I know mo kona, but I'm not your friend. Here I am your boss. Here I am your boss. We might be the same age, the same struggle, and they think you are so pompous for being the person you are. But it's a different level. I'm now your boss. I am not your friend.
The other thing that I was well aware of, the other thing, just to quickly mention this as well, it's important, it's important, or it plays a role in theory. You come from high school, you go to college, and then you go to the workplace. Like, there's nowhere in your life where you had a job. Like, you were never exposed to corporate. Like, even get a job as a waiter on first time, just to be exposed in corporate or company. Anyway, there was this one thing that always played in the back of my mind, Hooray. What you just mentioned now, and that is of key importance. That
it's like, sorry to interrupt you, it's like if a person texts me and they're like, hello Khumalo. No, not on a professional platform. It's fun, yes, but if you are going to ask me for a job, go to my more approach.
That already gives you an indication.
About the students need to remember what they are, a representation of what you are. If I convince owners of the farm to take you, I've got a reason. One represent. So I've regretted it. I've done it. I've regretted it. Exactly.
They trust that person.
I've done it. Please explain why you regret.
Why I regret.
Let me just mention this point. And if you always have this in the back of your mind, Yauri, you need the farmer more than the farmer needs you. Automatically, that thing, if you have it in the back of your mind, changes your attitude completely.
Towards work.
And that will humble you to do whatever is necessary to be done. Whether it's pruning, it's what, in the sun, in the shade, in the what.
Let me give them an example.
Yeah.
We get these grain essay seminars and stuff, and sometimes you want to broaden the students' knowledge, right? So instead of me personally going, what do I say? Let me take the 4 of you to this seminar. In this seminar, for example, the last time we went to Jackal's Flay, the wine is flowing and the students have a bit too much. At the end of the day, it's not going to be what you personally did. It's me. I sent you there. You, wherever you live, wherever I go, I'm an ambassador, I'm a representative of this.
What is that?
Club Springer. I'm a representative wherever I go. Vaalbos Trust, Club Springer boerdery, but I'm wherever I go. So if I represent my bosses wherever I go,
you need to conduct
when he
yourself
sends me to a management course, I represent him. I need to conduct myself in a manner that he will find pleasing, and I don't want to embarrass the person. And sometimes students struggle with that. We are at a professional place. Now the wine is flowing and they forget.
And hawata mo for when your personal matters. You came as a representative
of my enterprise. So it becomes really difficult in things like that. Yes.
I don't know, should we go into this, but okay, we'll go into it. With that said, and what Thabo also mentioned, what can we personally do? Like, when are you an alumni of your institution? When was the last time you touched ground, institution in Ghana?
When I graduated.
When you graduated. Do you have your reasons not for going back? And I don't know.
You know, the other time I was invited there too because they had a debate and they just wanted me to be part of the panel. So I wouldn't say, I don't think any opportunity has presented itself for me to go there.
That is worthy of you going there.
Going there. If there was another opportunity that was, I would. But I'm one of the people that feel like I'm self-made.
You don't owe anyone anything.
True, because of the institution that I went to, Lindo, when I think, what did they expose me to? Kantele Asati. I believe Asati, that little certificate now opened a lot of doors for me. But they taught me, but in some aspects I feel like I was being babysat. They babysat me for 3 years. My first learning experience was the first day I set foot on the farm. And the first day I set foot on the farm, everything I learned theoretically did not apply.
Okay, can I ask you, when was the first
Do we
day?
still have time?
Yeah. Were you still part of the institution?
I was
when you
part of
said-
the institution.
So, I think they didn't babysit you in a way.
Yes,
It's part of the system.
it's part of the,
We babysit you now, and hence the colleges would go to
with the work integrated
with the work
learning program.
integrated thing. My point is, I feel like we underestimating it a bit, or it has been downgraded through the years, or for you to go through there. Why do you have to go through there? If the students understand, well, why on my last year I have to stay at the farm for 12 months, why is that? Now we'll start understanding.
Can I?
So wait. I wanted to ask you, Tabayauri, do you think Hore, in our space, right? Corporate Igbo English,
Okay.
sharp,
Yes.
but Yarona in particular agriculture, Igbo Afrikaans.
Yes.
Do you think understanding Afrikaans and being able to communicate fluently or express yourself fluently in Afrikaans gives you a competitive advantage when you apply for a job, or you know what I'm saying?
I think I would say it depends on where you are going and where you would like to see yourself. What type of farming environment I mean, if you're going to be a farmer that's fully not dependent but relies on the government for services, for extension services, for without networking it's really not a big deal for you. You understand? It's a different scenario for me because I don't want to be just 10 chickens.
You want to be involved in the commercial space,
In what they were doing,
in the organized agriculture.
the very commercial business of what we do. So I would say it's not that it opens a lot of doors for you. I would say it's something I have used as a strategy to get what I want. And so far it has absolutely done nothing but good things for me. And here's what it comes. I knew when I was a child that I'm going to do farming. And my father said to me, learn Afrikaans. I didn't go to an Afrikaans school. No, I did Afrikaans as a first additional language, but it wasn't it was something I did for myself because I knew where I wanted to go, what I want to be involved in. No, I've got my own thing going on and I'm working for a certain company. With my own thing going on, I can just get into any institutional business or company and say Khuyamora and I get everything that I want. Something to better me. It is people say you are what are the words they use? Coconut, brainwashed, used, ass kissing, licking. People say, okay, why do you have to speak Afrikaans? You're pretending. And I always say, if I speak the language, and so far it has done nothing but get me what I want. Who's fooling who?
Yeah.
Who's using who? Who's benefiting from who? Because ka 5 o'clock, it doesn't being able. For me, it's another language in South Africa. I don't associate it with anything else.
And it is an official language.
I don't associate it with anything else. I associate it with farming. And what am I? I am a farmer. And what do I want to advance in? In farming. So what do? I learn everything that advances me as a farmer. And speaking Afrikaans for me is one of those things. Speaking Afrikaans in the sector is as good as getting a degree. That's how important for me personally.
Because communication in essence is essential.
For me personally it is. I'm a Zulu girl. I studied more Northwest. I work more Limpopo. Kiberekela Mabu. If I was a Zulu girl or very close-minded and I said where would I
wouldn't have survived in those provinces.
Because those are the people that I manage. If I said I'm not going to learn like they call it an oppressor's language. The people that I
And
work
be on the level where you are.
and be
now.
on the level that I am. Not just be a statistic, just be on the level that you
Work
are.
your ass off to
So
be where you
I
are.
think a lot of people, with regards to language, they focus on Afrikaans. It's not really that. It is when you are from Northwest Ubuastran, you are not always going to work in Northwest. Why don't you learn Xhosa for the day you go to Eastern Cape? Why don't you learn isiZulu for the day you go to KZN? Don't be so focused on being against.
Don't be narrow-minded.
Don't be narrow-minded. It's a broad thing. Whatever you can use to advance you, go for it. It doesn't matter. If it will advance you, don't let it go. That's just what I'd say.
In my geval, kom ons praat nou 'n bietjie. in my geval, ek het Afrikaans gedoen van graad 1 tot graad 12. Ek praat vlot Afrikaans, ek verstaan Afrikaans like
Jy kan
in my slaap.
Ek kan in Afrikaans droom.
Ek kan in Afrikaans droom. En dit het my baie gehelp. Ek stem 100% saam met jou. Dit het my baie gehelp. En is nie asof ek gat kry of iemand anders wil beïndruk en ek wil dit doen.
Ja.
Dit wil ek doen. Maar dit het my baie gehelp. En is nog is net 'n taal, mense. Is net 'n taal. En ek hou van wat jy nou net gesê het is as dit jou help om 'n beter persoon te wees en te bereik wat jy wil bereik. Ek meen, doen dit. En het help ook om ander kulture te verstaan. I mean, we grew up in a black community, or myself. I grew up in a black community. Even though I had my Afrikaans friends and I grew up with Afrikaans people, but I still had my black community. Like, I am the guy that is in between. And you could call me coconut, I could care less. But between black and white, like, I understand white people as much as I understand myself and my black people. And that alone has helped me so much in my life because my perspective is so broad.
It's not
things in jail, things in life.
Work for you.
En met dit gesê, is daar enigiets van jou kant wat jy wil sê of wil uitvind of?
Not entirely, but I would like to, just ending up on the language. I always tell the story. When I went in for my interview, I sat down on a board in a boardroom full of white men, and I said good morning, and they said we don't speak English. To praat ek nou Afrikaans. To sê goeiemôre almal, ek Nomzamo van hier van tot daarvan. Dis my ervaring, is my and it changed their complete perspective of who I am. I got the job specifically for the language.
Because not as if other people that you were interviewing with are not as qualified as you were.
They were, but I had an added advantage.
It's easy to communicate with you.
It's easy to communicate with me. I am
And that is what they want.
And
The owners want that.
That is what not a white man. Let's cancel that out.
Everyone.
That is business. That is business.
If I'm Zulu and it's my business, it's much better to
have
communicate
you on the phone.
as a Zulu person because you understand me.
In management,
And it's not a
another
white thing.
downfall, lack of communication.
Not a white thing.
In lack of communication and management is very detrimental to the business. And having lack of communication, I mean, simple thing of language translation can go a long way.
A long
Simple thing
way.
of language.
Long way.
My instruction that I give you can make you do something wrong simply because
I want to see.
you didn't understand what I meant. But yeah, that is me and my life. I don't speak Afrikaans today because I speak a lot of Afrikaans.
But anyway, Nomzamo, thank you very much for coming through. You are not the type of guest whereby we can have just one podcast and that is it. Like there's so many things that we haven't touched on, like your side hustles. Like the other day I saw that you say you do pot plants. You know what I'm saying?
Plants.
We haven't even touched on that.
I do mushrooms. I have cotton production. I've got grapes. I've got citrus. I've got an agri-consulting business
Joe.
as well. So
There's so much to you.
There's so much.
So with that said, I think we're going to have a part 2. And hopefully the part 2 is going to be at your place.
Hopefully.
And
I'm in my element.
when you are in your element, in your comfort zone.
True.
And we can indulge a bit more. But with that said, thank you very much for coming through. I appreciate you so much.
En Tabu.
En Tabu.
Baie dankie Tabu. Dit was 'n groot plesier.
Yeah man, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Ciao.
I feel good.